Namaste, everyone. I am going to be leading you guys in a gentle and restorative practice today. And I would like you to have some sort of chair. It can be any type of chair, but also some props. Maybe just a bolster and two yoga blocks would be excellent. So over this past weekend, we had a big supermoon. It was the final of the 4 supermoons that we had in a row. And I had planned to go and attend a yoga retreat. So you guys know I lead a lot of yoga retreats, but I don't get to attend very many because my schedule is so full. And about 6 months ago, there was a teacher who had signed up for my India retreat who was taking a group to Fall Creek Falls. And Fall Creek Falls is my favorite state park in Tennessee. And I like to go a couple times a year at least. So I decided I would support her and one of the retreats that she was offering. And of course, on Friday night, which was the full moon, we had a full moon ritual, which was beautiful. And we sat and meditated on something that we needed to let go of. And if you've ever done this kind of ritual, you sit and think about, what is festering inside? What am I holding? It could be a grudge. It could be like a reoccurring obsessive thought. It could be something from childhood. It could be an untruth. It could be really anything. And I'm constantly doing this work of letting go, letting go, letting go, because it is a part of yogic philosophy. Part of where it turns in is practice and non-attachment, practice and non-attachment, practice and non-attachment, all through the Yoga Sutras. And aparigraha is also a part of the 8-limb path of yoga. And again, that's non-attachment, non-clinging. And lots of times we hold those emotions or experiences or grudges inside, and it affects or creates something called the pain body. And the pain body can get triggered. And when we get triggered, that can upset our pain body and that can cause us to react. So over the weekend, when I knew we were going to be doing this particular ritual, I hadn't thought or premeditated what I was going to release or let go of. But right before we went to do that ceremony, we were having dinner together. And in the middle of that dinner, I happened to look down at my phone, because the um, lights were, starting to pop on, and I knew I was getting a message. And I thought, I'll just see, what keeps coming through. And it was a bunch of messages from my family, and it had to do with my dad's health, which again is nothing that I can control. And so instead of getting so absorbed into that situation and in what was happening with him, I decided to just flip the phone over, be present with the 2 ladies I was eating dinner with. And they asked me, if it was something important. And I said, yes, but it can wait because there's nothing I can do. And this just gave me, the idea of what I'm going to release in the ceremony. So that's exactly what I did when we went outside and did that full moon ritual. I knew that I needed to let this go. And then when I got back to my room, I actually read through it, discovered exactly what it was, and then went from there. So anyway, this practice, restorative, as well as active yoga when we're folding forward, or yin yoga when we're doing those deep stretches for full release, that is about being contemplative about what we need to release and let go of. So think about that whenever we're in a forward fold today, or even when you're submitting into that state of relaxation. All right, we're going to start sitting on the chair, but I would suggest having a bolster, 2 blocks with you as well. All right, so we're going to start sitting at the edge of the chair. And I would sit at the edge because this way your feet can flatten down to the floor. And if your feet don't comfortably come to the floor, if you're more petite, you can always, take your blocks or a folded blanket or something to bring the ground to you. Okay. So once you get your feet down, bring your hands to your lap as well. And let your elbows bend, your shoulders soften. Closing your eyes, beginning your breath work. Breathing in and out through the nose unless you need your mouth. When you start to notice the breath coming under your command, see if you can express a longer or slower out breath. And as you follow the exhalation down, feel the weight in your seat and feel as though the tailbone is like a drill moving down through the chair, holding you in place. Once you feel settled and heavier in your seat, continue to breathe, still focusing on the exhalations, but now dropping the attention down into your feet. Feeling the texture of the floor beneath. Feeling that contact down to the earth. You might notice, since we've been focusing on grounding the body, that you may feel slightly shorter or more compressed in your spine. So you could still be sitting straight, but let's start to improve the length of the back as we start to emphasize the in-breaths. You may naturally notice your belly expanding, your spine growing, your heart rising, crown of your head peeking up towards the sunshine. Now follow these two lines of energy, breathing in and up, breathing out and down. Now that we've been centering more, bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. Lace up your fingers and then pump the palms overhead. And as you're stretching your arms up, exhale, curve to one side. Opening up the side panel here. Inhale, lift back to center, and exhale, sway to the other side. Opening up the breath of life. And then inhale, rise back up. Exhale, take the hands down. Now slide your hands towards your hip crease. Roll the shoulders back. Create a cow tilt. Exhale, pull the belly in. Slide your hands to your knees and bow your head to the chest. Inhale, hands slide back. Shoulders roll back. And then exhale, contract the front body. Open up the shoulder blades. Couple more. Now you're going to slide your thumbs to the hip crease. Roll the elbows in towards your side body. Keep the spine really long. You're going to fold over your lap. The arms are now going to release beside you. Palms open at your feet and bow your head. Now move into the Ujjayi Pranayama. Constricting the back of the throat so it's audible to hear. Feel free to close your eyes. Upper body is just hanging like a rag doll. And because you're spilling your weight down on your lap, you may even start to feel a lot more sedated or heavier in your feet. Count 5 more breaths. Slip your hands up to your knees, lengthen out through your neck, and then peel away from your thighs. We're going to heel toe the feet apart. The right elbow, actually, I'm going to mirror you. Let your left elbow rest on your left thigh, and then inhale, sweep that right arm out and up. And then as you exhale, you're going to sweep that foot down. And then inhale, take the hand right back up. Now follow your gaze with your hand as it waves up and down, and feel that turn in the churn of the belly, the spinal rotation you're creating. Last one. Turn that top hand and now thread it behind your back. Release and cross the right arm to the right thigh and sweep the left hand up towards the sky. Exhale, bring that hand down towards the foot. No intention to touch. And then inhale, take the twist. Exhale, bring it down. Couple more. Now hold at the top, turn that top hand, loop it behind your back. Notice how it even affects that inner thigh. Release the hand and you're going to bring the hands down to the floor. So we're doing like a squat, but go ahead and forward fold at the same time. So it's actually a blend between a forward fold and an inversion and a hip opening pose. You're gaining a lot here. Keep your thighs rolling open. Your head hanging down. Slow, deep breaths. And again, you're weight bearing in your feet here because we're pouring down this way. You're gaining some strength in the lower body, even though you're residing in a chair. Can you feel that? It is part of this experience. Even though we're doing it in a restorative way that's not requiring tons of effort, you're still receiving. Let's take 3 more. Go ahead and stack onto your fingertips, straighten your arms, and lengthen through your back. I should have probably shown you this one first because if anyone's having vertigo, you really should be more here, more level, head to heart, than allowing the head to hang lower than the heart. I had someone come into the studio yesterday saying they were having vertigo and they thought it was due to allergies and extra fluid buildup in the ears. Let's place the hands to the knees, press down through the palms to slowly lift up. All right, so we're going to move over to the side, right side of the chair. Again, sitting at the edge. You know what? We really need a block for this. So sorry about that. Find your block. The block will help because you place the block between the knees and you're squeezing that block so that as you turn, your knees are not going to wobble and one thigh is not going to elongate more. So lift up energetically through the heart. Exhale, take a hold of the back of the chair, and you're actually pulling lightly with your right hand. Channel the breath in and out, up and down. Exhale, unwind from the twist. Sit with your palms facing up. We'll take this block with us. We'll spin to the other side. Block in between the knees. Lifting through the chest. Swirling to the left. Pulling with the left hand. Slow, deep breaths. And exhale, unwind. So we're going to come back to use the chair in a little bit, but now we're going to move to our sticky mat with 2 blocks. Have the first block on the tall height and the second block on the middle height. So it looks kind of like a T with the little space in between. Okay, and then we're going to straighten out the legs. That first block underneath the spine, closer to the ribs and shoulder blades. And then the top or taller one will go right underneath the base of your head. Palms are going to turn open. You're going to hold the back bend. Just let your shoulders melt down. Allow your heart to open up. And we're going to do a mental exercise here. while you're residing in this pose, I want you to tune in to the degree that when your mind starts to think or wonder, I want you to immediately come back into your body and notice where it's landing in your body. In other words, when you start to notice yourself think, are you furrowing your forehead? Are you crinkling your face? Maybe one or two fingers are extending. Maybe you start to grip in your low back or buttocks. Maybe your feet begin to wiggle or wave. But I promise, as you're here resting in the pose, when your mind starts to roam, there will be a result or a reaction in your body. That's what I want you to study and learn about yourself. Where does that show up? Deepen the breath. 3 more rounds. Now that we've been in a back bend, let's come out. Let's turn the palms down and slowly lift away from those blocks. And then we're going to use the seat of the chair. So you can pull the chair to your mat or you can scoot on over. Now we're going to flatten the back as we lift and elevate the legs. Let your shoulders spread out and have support this time. We'll start here with instant Maui. Once you settle in, I want you to reflect back on that last pose. Were you able to notice where your body started to tense or move when your mind started to roll? So I'll go ahead and tell you things that I've noticed personally in my body. Sometimes my forefinger and middle finger will extend. Sometimes my jaw will tighten. Or I'll start to tense my low back, depending on probably the subject matter of the thoughts. So I want you to consider where it showed up in your body and stay open. Because now that we're in the second restorative pose, it may show up differently. So use your breath as a way to slow and calm the mind. And when you arrive to that place of inner quietude, rest in that space between the thoughts. And then, of course, when the brain starts to run, then that's when you come back to the body and notice. So stay ever observant. Change this up now and work into the hips by crossing the left ankle over the right knee. Now, the difference is we're going to incorporate a second maneuver. But before we go into the second maneuver, determine if you want the ankle bone to be closer to the knee or if you want to slide the foot down the thigh towards the hip crease as if you're going towards a half lotus. If that's too much flexion for the knee, back the ankle up again. But we're also and equally going to slide the right foot closer to the body so that this right knee is starting to angle in. Now you're staying grounded and supported at your low back. The hands are free. We're resting on the belly. Things begin to loosen up here, and you feel the desire to slide the right foot a little closer, you can. Then move right back into your breath. Back into that mode of inner observation. How does your body react or respond when your mind starts to think? And then move out of the stream of thoughts by coming back to the body, back to your breath, and back to that space in between the thoughts. Let's slide the right leg back into place so that knees at the crease of the chair. And let's uncross the left leg.
Now feel energetically what's occurring on that left side, especially if you pulled the right foot closer to your body at the same time. And once that starts to kind of fade out a little bit, then swap right ankle to left knee, or potentially use your hand to slide it down halfway or a portion of the way, or all the way to the hip crease, dependent on your knee. So then let's go ahead and glide the left foot a little closer. That's going to take that stretch deeper. And if you don't want the deeper stretch, easy does it. Just keep your left leg in that initial place and your right ankle over the left knee. If you decide to go deeper and the sensation that was initially piping up begins to fade out, then of course you can slide the foot closer towards you and move into your next edge of flexibility. Just try not to allow the sacrum to rise up. Keep it planted on the floor. So in that last position, I was noticing for myself, it wasn't the fingers extending, it was more in my jaws. They were just starting to tighten up. Remember, if it's your mouth, you can always keep your lips separated, or you can do a cleansing breath. We're going to reset the legs and then observe the right leg now. Energy may show up in different ways. Could be a little tingly, could be light and airy. Could feel a wave of coolness or pockets of heat. And then we're gonna roll away to one side and create our position for our final pose. And it's gonna be more of a inversion, but I also wanted to open the front of the hips since that last one we were getting that flexion. So you could potentially use a block. It's going to be the supported bridge. However, I was going to suggest you could also use a bolster, and that's what I'm going to use today. So when you get on your back, bend your knees and lift up, you're going to slide the bolster or the block under the sacrum. Now, if you need to keep the knees bent, that's fine, but I was going to suggest today attempting to straighten the legs. Now, I find it easier to straighten the legs with the bolster. I don't know, there's something about the shape, or maybe it's my blocks are harder, not as foamy. But when I straighten my legs, I prefer the softness underneath the body. So pick which one works better for you. And then, of course, you can fan your arms out, close your eyes. Begin for today observing where and when your body alters from that state of relaxation. When your mind starts to roam. Let that be your meditation, even in Shavasana. Hopefully, those increments, the silence can sustain. 3 deep breaths. Now you may have already needed to bend the knees, but if you haven't, let that be the first step. Second step, tucking and lifting away from the bolster or the block, moving it from underneath so that you can come down to flatten your back and tuck and cradle your knees. Be here and breathe. Take your hands now to the tops of the knees. Inhale, push the knees away with your palms. And then exhale, grip your fingers on the knees and pull them back in. Just do that a couple rounds. Inhale, press the knees away. And then exhale, retuck the knees. One more. This time when you cradle, just rock side to side. Back to your spine and then separate your legs. Hang out here in tree frog for a few breaths. These are all good counter positions after that final pose. You could even pull the knees together and circle them several times around. Then going in the opposite direction. Roll over to one side of the body, push down into the hands, come up. Feel free to sit on a prop. Assessing, and hopefully with that exercise of being watchful when your mind starts to think and then noticing what's happening in your body when you do that, you'll start to recognize it more and more when you're on the mat, when you're in shavasana, or in these poses of restoration. Let's draw the hands together. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May there be peace, peace, everlasting peace. The light in me honors and bows to the beautiful light in you. Namaste.